friends. Today we're going to be taking a look at revisiting the formula for area of a parallelogram. Just go ahead and write that at the top of your page. Alrighty. So when we think about the formula of area, we remember that the rectangle formula for the area of a rectangle is equal to length times width, right? So let's revisit that quickly. When we think about the formula of a rectangle, go ahead and draw a rectangle. And this particular rectangle is a length of 3 and a height of 2. Okay, so if we were to think about how many square units are in there, we could draw those squares inside of there, and we would multiply 3 2 times, right? The length times the width, length times the width, which is equal to 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So we want to remember, though, the formula for the area of a parallelogram works a little bit differently. So I want you to go ahead and draw this parallelogram in your notebook. So when we take a look at a parallelogram, we've got our two parallel sides and it's slanted over, kind of being pushed over by the wind right there. Okay, so if we were going to follow this same rule, multiplying one side by the other side, using my centimeter ruler here, my base is 3 centimeters. This other side here, it's about 2.5 or 2 5/10 centimeters right there. Well, when I multiply 3 times 2.5, I've got 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 halves would be 1.5. It would be a total of 7.5 right there, or 7 5/10. But that's not actually how we do the area of a parallelogram. In class, we've practiced kind of breaking up our parallelograms into squares to be able to follow this same rule right here, to kind of think about why we can't do that. Okay, so I have a dot right here where I have drawn a line for my altitude, or the height of my parallelogram. And when I do that, I can end up cutting off this end and replacing it over here so that I can follow my rule for that rectangle. Okay, so if you remember, like we did in class, I take the base, and the altitude of the base is exactly perpendicular, 90 degrees. You can use a square edge or a straight edge and line up perfectly to make a perfect perpendicular line. So the altitude is perpendicular, exactly a T, 90 degrees to your base right there, or the length. So when I cut this, I'm not changing the amount of area, I'm not changing the space, I just cut it and I'm replacing it. And when I do that, then I've got a rectangle again. So I've got 1, 2, 3 units on my base, by 2 on my height, or my width there. And then when I multiply 3 times 2, my area is equal to 6. That would be centimeters squared. Each one of those is a centimeter wide. So that's, friends, why we can't, when we're doing the measuring the area of a parallelogram, that we can't follow the same rule here. We've got our parallelogram. This is not the height of it, right? The height is perpendicular to a base. So let's take a look at some other ones right here. And pause right here and jot that down if you haven't yet. I'm going to go ahead and erase. Okay, so if we're going to take a look at finding the area of this parallelogram right here, we need to find the altitude or the height, the line that's perpendicular from the base, right? That direct 90 degrees. So when I do this, I can take a straight edge, and my altitude can be here, my height, or here, 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 anywhere that I can reach the top and the bottom, connect those two with a straight line. Okay, so here's the base, and here is the height right there. Okay, again, this is not the height, this is just the width of it, it's one side. Where we're doing the base times the height of a parallelogram, the height is perpendicular to that base. So here we have our height. So our base here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our height is 2. Okay, so just to kind of prove this, I'm going to measure the length of this side right here. And I get 3 centimeters. And that's why it's different right there. Okay, so the area of this is 10 centimeters squared. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and take a look at this next one here. Okay, ask yourself, how many units is that base right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's that base. And the height, how many units is that height? Right, we're not measuring the side here, we're measuring the height perpendicular to that base. 1, 2, 3. So to follow the formula of a parallelogram, I've got my base times my height right here, or 7 times 3, which is 21 centimeters squared. Okay? Alright friends, thanks for watching. We will see you later.